Hello world, it's the Global Star Party, episode number 15, broadcasting from around the world. It is the nighttime edition in Australia and New Zealand, but we do have a few clouds around. It's also International Observe the Moon Night as well, so we've got some live lunar for you as well. And we have a few regular faces, including one disembodied head in the name Chris Kennedy. How are you, Chris?
All right, dude. I'm sporting the latest in rug fashion because I'm currently in the backyard trying to view the sun, although clouds have just popped over. But literally for the past 4 hours before the show, I've had beautiful views of the sun and hoping the clouds part and I can bring them back to you.
No trouble. So we're going to try and wing it here because normally Chris is the host of our lovely show. So I'll do my best to coordinate, and Chris will be flicking between people's feeds. Now, we did have the moon a second ago with Trevor. How's the sky looking for you, Trevor?
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Not a cloud in the sky.
How about we go straight to a live view of the moon straight away? Because I know last week we tried to do some live and we lost our opportunity and clouds came over. So let's just get straight into it.
You got that?
Yep, we are seeing live moon from Melbourne, yeah?
From Melbourne, that's the one.
Fantastic. And I don't actually recognise the region. Where are we?
Mate, now you're asking me.
Kevin Franklin would know if he was here. If you're listening, Kevin, jump in and let us know. I should also mention that we do have the Q&A enabled, so please feel free to ask questions or heckle us, or if you know what region of the moon that is, come and tell us.
We want all the moon buffs to jump on now.
We're looking at craters.
I can tell you it's a crater.
You're just along the Terminator there. Maybe can you swing around up and down the Terminator for us?
Yeah, hang on a sec.
Just proof that this is all actually live and you are seeing photons beamed into electrons and sent across the internet. Trevor is...
I'll just run along the edge of the moon, yeah?
Yeah, beautiful.
There we go. Just so people know we're live.
The seeing's actually pretty good.
No, it's actually not too bad. It's pretty stable. I've already done plenty of footage of it already, so it's getting a bit low in the sky at the moment.
Trevor, just because I like to be a demanding so-and-so, whilst I've got a rug over my head, is there any chance you could embiggen that a little bit for our viewers? Stretch that window?
Well, stretch the window. Well, now you're pushing the friendship, mate.
Well, I know, right? I am a mean man. We also have someone join us in Q&A whilst we're looking at the moon here, asking what kind of telescope would you guys recommend as a first telescope?
Did that stretch it, mate?
No, I'm still seeing the same view.
No? Okay.
It's still a really nice view, though.
It's a pretty cool view.
That's good. Actually, that is some good seeing. With regards to the Q&A question I've got here, as a first telescope, something. It depends if you want to do imaging or visual or all sorts of stuff. Really, just really look for what's in your budget. If you want something easier, go for a go-to, and don't be tempted to go maximum zoom. You know, an 800mm telescope in terms of focal length will more than do you for looking at a lot of things from the moon, some nice views of the planets, and also some wide field deep sky objects. So, because trust me, if you ever go maximum zoom, yeah, trying to get the entire Andromeda galaxy in is really, really, really impossible. That's a big galaxy. I'm gonna check.
No, this capture software doesn't allow me to go full screen live for you guys. I can see it on my screen, but it won't go live.
Okay. Maybe John, if you're there, John actually works in a telescope shop, so he's probably well placed to answer that question about what kind of telescope would be a good starter.
Here was me keeping quiet on purpose. Really, I think Chris asked the question really back, which was really we would really need to know what the gentleman wanted to achieve, and also what his budget is. Because Chris is right, you know, a lot of people shoot into a long focal length or a go-to, and they just want to look at the stars. So, you know, maybe that's really what I'd like to know before I answer the question properly, before the gentleman spending the money.
Yep.
Right,
so there you go, Niels. If you have a follow-up question about what you'd like to do with astronomy, just let us know, and we could probably delve deeper into that. Kevin Franklin has just joined the call. How are you, Kevin? You're on mute there. You might need to unmute yourself. No. There we go.
There you go. You can ask him about the moon.
Kevin, are you there? You're off mute, but I still can't hear you. No, we'll give Kevin a little while to sort out his issues there, and I'll just check in with Chris. How are you going with your sun views? Still clouds?
Yeah, I'm totally. Hang on. Give me 10 minutes, and I think I've got a gap. As soon as we start this show, yeah, I get clouds. It's always the way. But yeah, give me 10 minutes, and hopefully there's a cloud out of the way. I will screen share as soon as I get my view of the sun back.
Yeah, great. In the meantime, I'm going to flick over to Paul, who is showing us, if you could flick over to Paul, Chris, Paul showing us a massive event on the sun this week. Paul, can you give us some detail?
Yeah, this is a lovely hetero prominence that was on the sun earlier this week. I can't remember what size it is, but many Earths wide. Unfortunately, now it's actually. But today it has rolled over the edge a bit further and is now a nice little filament.
Wow. I think there was an image on, it might even be the APOD today of that same hedgerow. I can't be sure if it's the same one, but it looked very similar. And this is your image that we're looking at, obviously, Paul?
Yep, the sun was taken today before the clouds arrived.
Fantastic.
That's pretty cool, Paul. Pretty cool.
And just for, I know you're a regular on the show, Paul, but we might have someone who doesn't know you. So, just can you tell us what you're imaging the sun with?
This was done with a Lunt LS80 solar scope, dedicated solar scope.
Excellent. And is there any stacking involved when you take an image like this?
this would have been, well, this whole image is a 4-panel mosaic, and each panel would be the best 30% of 500 frames stacked.
Excellent. No, really, really nice result. A lot of detail in it.
You've got to be pleased with that.
Paul, you continue to impress.
Dedication.
He raises the bar higher and higher.
I mean that prominence, unfortunately, I missed out on because of cursed clouds. So yeah, wow. I'm glad you caught it anyhow, Paul. A little bit jealous, but I'm glad you caught it.
Chris, if you take that carpet out of the way, you'll be able to see properly.
Look, see, no carpet now. I'm because there's loads of clouds, so I'm not like neon bright on one side of my face. In fact, I will just quickly grab the camera. I apologise about any random noises that come up when I lift this camera up. But, hang on a minute. Cable. There we go. That's my current situation. With,
and when just before we started the show, Chris was sitting there sunbaking, and of course, as soon as we go to air, boom, clouds.
Yes, cursed clouds, and so I've taken the rug off my head now.
Kevin has been trying to join the call again. Are you having any luck with that microphone, Kev?
I have been very... How am I going there now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I've got a very bad connection.
Okay, yep, no worries. So are you outside, Kevin?
And I'll just screen share with you because you might be as...
I can hear you, Kevin, but you do break up sometimes. But yeah, if you can screen share with us, if you are outside imaging something, just go for it. It looks like we might have lost him.
Well, I was going to say, Niels has come back to us with his question in Q&A. He says mostly looking at deep sky objects, but also some planetary views, and maybe later I'd also want to start with astrophotography, the dangerous route. So yeah, John, I'll let you field that one.
Probably a 6-inch Newtonian, because he hasn't given a budget, so probably a 6-inch Newtonian with, depending what type of mount. I mean, the HEQ5 mount, the Skywatcher mount, or the Orion in the US, the Orion Atlas in the US would be a good starting mount. But like I say, his budget would be the deciding factor. But nobody got shot for buying an Orion
300 euros.
But if it's just for, is it just for viewing, or is he going to be capturing with it later on? I mean,
it's the later on bit. I think for the viewing bit, I think the 6-inch Newtonian, and later on the mount really is what kicks in, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the budget he's saying is about 500 Australian dollars. So there's not really a lot you can do for
6-inch Newtonian. 6-inch Newtonian with an EQ3. Tell him to come and speak to me. That was easy.
Just like that.
Hopefully that helped at least give some kind of direction for Niels there. So, well then, where next, Dylan? Where are we going next?
Well, I think because Kevin looks like he's trying to share something with us, but we're having some technical difficulties there. So I'm just going to flick straight over to the Flickr group for a second. So let me screen share that out and share some of what we've got here. And the first cab off the rank should be a nice looking Jupiter. You guys see that?
Mm.
Okay, now Trevor, this should be familiar to you.
This one, yes. Mate,
Give us some details.
That's a very old footage. That was actually taken up in Queensland at the time on a 12-inch. Believe it or not, you're not going to believe me when I tell you this, but I hand tracked that.
Wow, you're kidding?
I hand tracked that on a Dob mount, and that was the result. And that was actually done with a Philips 2U cam.
Okay.
Jesus.
So that was about, I think, best of 400 frames made that image.
Well, that's fantastic. You've got the bands and the red spot, and looks clear to me. So that's a successful, really a feat of dexterity and patience.
Well, you don't want to see the video footage just jumping all over the place.
Wow, very good. Thanks for that, Trev.
But I managed to keep it in. I managed to keep it within frame, so it was okay.
Worked out great. Next one off the rank is Didier Orbiget, who also sent through some wide field starry trails. This is another one from the North Celestial Pole, I assume, both from where he's from, but also because of that little pinpoint of light in the middle there, which we just don't get down here. I'm sure it's quite wonderful, but really nice shot. This was an interesting one from David Simonetti, the Horsehead Nebula, and it's really noisy. I can see that the stars look okay, but there's just a huge amount of noise in here, and this is a difficult target, as many of us would know. So it's a hard one to get anyway if you've got a CCD, and it looks like David's using a DSLR. This is 15 4-minute exposures, 10 dark frames, 11 flats, 24 bias, Celestra Nexstar 127, Altaz mount with a wedge. But I think it might just come down to the 700D DSLR he's using. It's not very light sensitive to begin with, and he's only using 800 ISO. So I would suggest bumping that ISO right up to 3200, because that's the purpose of stacking. Stacking is going to get rid of a lot of that ISO noise straight away, and for such a faint object, you really need to bump that up a bit.
Dylan.
Oh, whoa, hey, we've got some solar.
Hi.
The clouds have parted, and Chris is actually sharing with us today instead of just being the charismatic host that he always is.
Yeah, I'm kind of blind right now because the sun is out. Woo! But there should be that filament showing up hopefully on the screen.
Yeah.
Just about. Oh look, there's some cloud. But actually, you see, that's always the way. As soon as I yell, it's like, "Hey, clouds, come in!" But I'm going to up the exposure just that smidget.
You can see the filament, yeah.
And then I'm just going to go the other way, and I'll figure out the direction on the PlayStation controller.
There's the other one, up the top. Come down. Stop, come down.
Oh, clouds, hey! But there you go. There's a nice prominence there between the clouds.
We see it. Fantastic. Live sun. The Global Star Party again. We got more than one live view today. It's good.
That almost looks like steam coming off the surface.
Right, I gotta go back to Dylan because I've got a nice big fat cloud that's just rolled in. So carry on, Dylan. Sorry about that.
No trouble. So I think I've said all that I needed to say about David's Horsehead Nebula. Very good attempt with the DSLR. It is very hard to get. Moving on, we've got Daniel Heron. Thanks, Daniel, for watching the show. I know you submit a fair bit to us through the week as well, and we really appreciate it. We've got the Moon and Saturn here just recently, just last month. And the Moon has nice clear Earth shine. You can see there's the overexposed side of the Moon with the Crescent, and you've also got the Earth shine, which is the reflection of the Earth's oceans reflecting light back at the darkened side of the Moon. So you get to see the whole circle of the Moon, and this only happens sort of around that sunset sort of time. It's a nice thing to witness, a nice thing to capture. Moving on, we've got Stephen Rahn, a friend of the show. Stephen does great lunar work, and this is his waxing crescent, also very recently. Some star trails from Peter Martin Jorgensen. You can see some satellites whizzing through this, and planes and what have you. But the thing I noticed straight away when looking at this is you've got the stars curving downwards there and the stars curving upwards there, which means the celestial equator is about here, which is always good to see. And another one that Trevor should be familiar with. Trevor, are you there?
Yes, mate. Yes. Oh, the good old Saturn. Oh, that's the one I just put up, mate. That's yeah, that was done. That was just done a few weeks ago. On the 16th, I was just trying out a very I could call it a just trying out a different camera, and
Awesome.
that was the first result that I actually got from it, and I thought, well, beautiful, because Saturn sort of gets very low very quickly now, so there is a lot of noise sitting there, but that's about as much as I can get out of it.
So when did you take this?
It was a couple of weeks ago now.
Okay, great.
I just had to get around the process. Sorry?
What camera did you use?
The image source DMK color CCD.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And that was sitting behind a 5x Barlow on a 16 Skywatcher. Again, that was an old as go-to.
Yeah.
So it was tracking okay. It wasn't too bad. It's a bit of drift, but nothing to sort of worry about with the planet.
It's definitely better than any of my attempts. That's really nice.
Yeah, actually come out pretty good. You can actually see the outer ring too. If you actually see the outer ring, you actually see the bit of the other, I guess, tiny smidgen, sort of, you know, how you've got the consecutive division in there. Well, just on the outer ring, you actually see another one.
Okay.
You can just make it out.
One up here.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. Yeah, I see that clearly.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Thanks again, Trev.
That's all right.
Now we have Wendy Clark, who sent us this canopy of stars. A lot of these starry field shots, they're not necessarily, we don't necessarily have to have a big showy Milky Way, but sometimes it's just the foreground that makes these pictures. And Wendy's done a great job here with the kind of, I don't know, it looks like a greenhouse of some sort. Yeah, really, really nice. Or a viewing conservatory. So thanks for that, Wendy.
Nice title as well. That's a nice
Canopy of
title.
stars. Yep.
Yeah,
Very nice.
It's a good bit of composition. That.
That's Orion, if I'm not mistaken, over there.
Surprised you recognise that's the right way around, Dylan.
Yeah,
from the land.
Definitely Orion. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't look like a hunter to me. It just looks like
Dylan International Traveller.
I won't even say, actually. I'm not going to say it on the show. Moving on, Andrew. Andrew's not here, unfortunately. He was going to join us, but I think he's off doing some dark sky stuff with his son. So just a shout out to Andrew if he's listening, or if he's listening later. Thanks for sending this one in. He was imaging this last weekend, I believe, or maybe the last few days, and he's just stacked it all in PixInsight today and uploaded it for us. So that's looking sharp. NGC 253, 8 hours.
Yeah. I think he was finishing that off last weekend when we were on all together.
Yeah, I remember it. And it's come up nicely, because I remember it didn't look like this last weekend.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's hard. You know, galaxies are harder targets than the bright nebulas, and they're usually, you know, quite small and very hard to draw out that detail and draw out that brightness. And especially with the DSLR, Andrew's done a great job.
Can you zoom in a bit there, Dylan?
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah, you can see those dust lanes quite clearly. It's sort of individual clumps of clouds.
Yeah, it's not a bad shot, is it? The stars look pretty good too.
Yeah, it sounds like he's got a lot of data too.
There's a lot of depth to that shot, isn't there? There's a lot of depth to it.
Very, very cool.
When you've got 8 hours of data, mate, that's a lot of data on one object.
All right, I'm going to flick to mine. This is one that I showed on the show last week, but I just showed a quickly stretched frame. This is the same data I showed then, but I've actually spent some time in PixInsight and run it all properly. And I had I might throw this to the room actually, because I said something wrong on the show last week. I was talking about green, and when we see green in space, and how it's quite unusual, and it is unusual, but I didn't realize how unusual or how abnormal it was. And what I'm learning now is that unless it's a comet or a faint planetary nebula, you should basically never see green in space. And the green that you see when you're looking at the Tarantula Nebula, for example, that's not actually the color of it. And if you image it in RGB narrowband, then you'll see the reds and the blues as you normally would with a reflection and an emission nebula. That green is more air glow and light pollution and everything else in between you and the object creeping in and coming in on your chip's Bayer matrix, where it's often biased towards green. So I'm not sure about this, but it sounds to me, and this is what I tried in PixInsight, because they've got this SCNR green removal, and the basic idea is that any green that's coming through your shot should, in theory, be rubbish, because there is no green in space unless, as I said before, unless it was a comet or a planetary nebula. So it essentially just chucks a lot of that stuff away. And knowing this, I went back into this data, and I used that sort of idea that the green is rubbish, and use the rest of it as you can. There is still green in here that shows up in these fringes and gives a little bit of the depth to the color. But it really made the lagoon's color just pop so much more. And it gave this nice transparency where you can see it almost looks like a translucent layer of cloud over these red details underneath. It really just made it. I hadn't actually got nebula to this level before, so it was really helpful. But does anyone else in the room have any idea about this green stuff?
No.
Green, I think the SCNR in PixInsight is particularly aimed at OSCs.
Mm-hmm.
So you shop in separate filters. So I think the screen function in that is aimed to reduce that.
Yeah.
Rather than individual. The one question I did have was, you mentioned a second ago RGB and narrowband. What did you shoot? Did you put HA in here as well?
No. This is one shot RGB.
Right, okay.
This is just
cool.
yeah.
That's just what you said earlier. That's what confused me.
No, someone posted a picture of the tarantula, but he'd imaged it with a mono camera using RGB filters, and that came out looking just red and blue. There was no trace of green at all, and that would have been how he processed it as well. But it's interesting to me that if I can get a.
Yeah, sorry. If you shoot, so you shot this in one shot, did you?
Yes.
Yeah. So the
But
green,
use PixInsight to pull out
the SCNR the green away.
Yeah.
Just get
a bit of adjustment.
Right.
Just getting a voice from the clouds here, or the black screen I'm hiding behind. But Kevin has managed to make it in, and I can see he is sharing something. So I'm just going to.
Hello, Kevin.
Just going to click on Kevin, and hopefully, no, it's turned into a Saturn. He's turned into Saturn. There was some moon formula a moment ago. Now, I actually, talking about the moon, I have to actually ask the peanut gallery. This international observe the moon thing. What's it all about? I mean, apart from trying to get people, I guess, to look up. But do we have any details or information on what this is all about?
Yeah, my local club definitely run events every year. It's a kind of opportunity to engage the public in some easy outreach. The moon's a common target, and it's easy to do, and people often just forget to look at the moon. We look at the moon a lot because we're waiting for it to go away so we can do nebulas. but the general public, yeah, they just forget the moon's there sometimes.
This is true. Actually, Trevor, do you still have clear skies? And can you still bring us some live moon?
Sorry,
Live
mate, do I
moon.
have what?
Do you still have live moon for us, sir?
Right, yes, yeah, I can bring that up. Still there.
It's not vanished, or it's not inexplicably duplicated, then?
Actually, it's actually I'm using a different capture software now, so I can actually make it a little bit bigger for you guys.
Oh,
Oh,
sweet.
cool.
Oh.
Hey, there we go.
Look at that.
Now it is. If you want me to move it around, I can. There you go.
Sweet. Yes, let's explore the moon. Let's fly over it.
It looks like Kevin's back as well.
Alrighty. Well, the whole live moon thing. Ah. Hello. I'm going to click on Kevin. Let's see if this breaks. Nope. Nope. Kevin's got moon and clouds. So we've got 2 live views of the moon.
Can you hear us, Kevin? He might just be chatting.
Well, despite Kevin's prosaic silence here, he's still joining us and trying to bring us some live. And of course, Trevor's just cheating because he's got no clouds. So it's a lot easier right now.
Oh, I'm cheating good. I'm actually going to put another camera in, Dylan, so I can actually swing around to Rancher and actually show them live how you get that green image.
Ah, cool. That'd be good. Yeah. Because when you do image it with an RGB camera, it's green.
Green.
And there's a lot of other stuff that shows up green like that too. It's just interesting to me that green is false. It's not really what that object is emitting.
Oh,
But,
so you're telling me now that CCD cameras have an optical illusion?
I want to know so
get
that
involved in the entire colour thing, but I don't want to get involved in the entire colour thing because it's going to make it for a really boring hangout.
Maybe this could be a private. I use the word loosely, after party of all colour talk. But every now and then, I'm looking at Kevin's view here. Every now and then, he's got those clouds budge out the way. We've got a lovely view of the moon, and of course, Trevor is just yeah. Obviously, he was the one sacrificing goats this week because Paul's clouded out. And I'm going to click on Paul for a second, so Paul can tell us about his lovely purple picture that we've got. He's sharing with us.
Yes, this is the sun and calcium K wavelengths over the last 3 days.
Whoa! Oh, nice. You got the rotation in there. See, every time Paul does this, I'll just go slack Jordan slightly quiet. So, what's the gap between each of the frames you're showing here?
Roughly a day. This last 3 days, sun.
Nice. I challenge you to sacrifice enough poor innocent animals so you can do a really smooth one, like every hour. Minus, obviously, nighttime. Unless you want to fly that telescope down this end, so I can cover the nighttime side of Australia. Well, New Zealand. Nice. And are these mosaics or are these just individual shots?
This is just a single stack.
Nice, really nice. And how long do you actually let the camera capture data for?
It'd be 60 seconds max, I would think.
Huh. The wonders of nice bright objects. Compared to galaxies, at least, the sun's pretty easy to find. Now, Dylan has turned into a lovely black and white picture. Kevin is still admirably, I think, trying to share with us. And if I click on me, that's my live view of the sun. Honest, it's there. It really is. Clouds. I had a beautifully clear morning right until the show turns up. And so I'm going to click back on Paul and go, yeah, nice. When was this shot?
This was this morning too.
It does actually look vaguely familiar from between the clouds. I think I did actually pan over this region. Of course, yours is much sharper than a live view. That's lovely. very, very thin filaments there. It's pretty epic. I'm liking that view. So, to all our viewers at the moment, as you can see, clouds can be an absolute pain in the neck. So, if you have, I'm gonna show everyone my lovely under the rug view. Yeah, I look like a crazy guy with this setup right now. Anyhow, right, yes, if anyone's watching and you have a telescope and you have the ability to plug a camera into it, or you know someone who does and would like to, you know, share it out with the world, then drop us a message, either myself or Dylan or Russell Bateman, who's not with us today, but he's one of the brains behind this whole endeavour. Just drop us a message and we'll see about sorting it out. And I'm going to click on Dylan now because my detached head is kind of scary. And what we're looking at.
This is today's NASA APOD, which I think is the same prominence, by Alan Friedman. It's a amazing picture. I really love the detail in this. I love the sort of subtle colouring and the really delicate parts of the filaments you can see just shooting off there into space. It is a fantastic and well-deserved APOD.
I'm still waiting for Paul to get his. Nice. And it does show some lovely subtle detail in there. You can tell actually it's been very carefully processed because, at least from my personal experience, I find the very bright edge around the very outer edge of the sun there, I normally lose the detail there, but that's still got that lovely kind of almost like fireside fluffiness to it. It's lovely detail in there.
I don't know enough about the solar
fireside fluffiness.
That's a scientific term, and I'm sticking with it. I'm under a rug. You have to take it seriously.
A picture like this, Chris or Paul might be able to tell me. Would this picture have been done with multiple exposures? Like one for the outer edges and one for the inner detail?
Yes. Yeah, you would do, just to preserve that detail. And this has also been inverted because this is a trick I use, although I use it because normally it just makes my pictures look better, but they've inverted the disk of the sun there. So you'll see the sunspot in the lower left. That obviously should be black because it's cooler and darker, but they've inverted the image so it shows up bright white. But the nice thing about inverting images is that it makes the whole, I don't know why exactly, but it makes it look very three-dimensional. Really makes that surface detail pop out and look very three-dimensional, which it is, but it just seems to enhance it for the human eye. Which is a very nice picture. I could stare at that for quite some time. Now, if I click on Paul's picture, obviously he's not inverted it, and those sunspots show up as nice and dark, and he's also got a double stack, so his contrast is much better than mine on filaments. I've mentioned before, and I'm going to throw this out to everyone that's watching, everyone with the peanut gallery. But to me, that still looks fluffy. That's got a kind of textured fluffiness to it. It's not exactly scientific, but it's what it looks like to me, and it doesn't look like an orange before anyone says that.
It's so fluffy.
It is so fluffy. I dare you to give it a hug. Rapid vaporization would occur, and I'm still unfortunately being attacked by clouds. In fact, if anything, they're beginning to get a little bit rainy looking, so I'm slightly panicking here that it's going to start raining on me at some point. Oh, whoa, Paul. Okay. Wow. Whoa. Alright, Paul, tell me about this.
Oh, you seem to like the inverted, so I inverted it for you.
It looks good. Look, you've got some beautiful detail in there as well.
That's pretty impressive, Paul.
That is really impressive, Paul. So, yeah, everyone, go out and get yourself a silver scope, because, you know what, look what you can see. Well, it's awesome. The moon, it may be International Observe the Moon Day, and you know, people looking at the moon, but it's just not as you know, what's the word? Active. Let's put it that way. Lovely. And I like the. I know everyone's looking at the big hedgerow prominence here, but the little one off to my left here, although I don't know if mine is inverted to everyone else's, it looks like, it almost looks like a little. You get them. I've seen them a few times. They almost spin like tornadoes, and that looks like very much like a kind of spinning tornado. Some beautiful detail in there. Now, Trevor, have we still got the moon live?
No, I haven't, mate. I've spun around the tarantula, so I'll have that in a couple of seconds.
Sweet.
Or 15 to 30 seconds at least.
Nice. Well, I'm just going to keep staring at this prominence for a second, and also wondering why I've got some buzzing in my ear. I've got some random things going on today right now. Poor Kevin has really suffered from some connection problems today. So, weather. The weather is a wonderful thing, and because of clouds and what have you, it's we're kind of getting attacked from all angles here. But Trevor should be bringing us the tarantula hopefully very soon. In fact, I'll just show you my view right now. So apologies about any random noises. Actually, I can show you one kind of sunny. I've got some sunflowers over there. Woohoo! It's like a nature show now. And as you can see, yeah, nice blue sky over there. But where the sun is, yeah, nice and cloudy. So there you go, folks. Live clouds. But you can see my setup at the moment. I want to actually attach the solar scope, which is the gold one there. I want to actually attach that just to the mount directly rather than piggybacking it on the LX90. But there's the imaging camera. Plugged in, and would be looking at the sun if it wasn't for the evil. And yeah, and there she is doing her thing. It's the old NEQ6. Still got a bendy bolt though. A beast with a bendy bolt.
How have you been finding it, Chris?
It's been so far. It's been really rather good. Even with the whole bendy bolt issue, it's compared to the fork mount, it slews really. It's very sharp in terms of how it responds. So I'm finding it very responsive when I'm trying to find an object or just nudge something into the center of the frame. I can set it up much more easily now. I'm getting used to it. I don't even know why, but originally when I was putting the OTA on, I had it all sideways, and I'm there trying to juggle it and trying to screw it in from the bottom, and then I realised that if you just put it back in the home position, you can just plonk the tube. That's me plonking the tube, by the way, visually speaking. You just plonk it on the bolt. I'm getting used to it now. It's pretty easy to set up. And yeah, I know I use the poloscope and that is cheating, but I mean, I last night got a very brief view of Polaris, so I could have plonked it down, leveled it, looked at Polaris, went, yep, that'll do, and now it's allowed me to, when it's not cloudy, to track the sun pretty accurately for the day. So I know it's cheating, but for a quick setup for using a bit of daytime astronomy, if you've got a brief view of Polaris at night, because the Northern Hemisphere guys are spoiled like that, it's pretty good.
Chris, is it worthwhile just having a quick conversation about how you can do basic polar alignment for any of the guys?
Can do. I don't see why not. If you're looking to imaging, then some basic polar alignment is pretty useful. Do you want to take it away, or shall I go through how I've been doing it and you can correct me on the
Well, I
mistakes?
just think because no, it's not a case of correcting. In just case, I think that with the SynScan, they're the most popular mounts. I just thought it might be quite a nice way just to do a quick brief run through about how you do it, because it's the same whether you're in the south or the north. Making a difference.
Well, yeah, this is true. Well, for me personally, I get the scope out. I get the scope out. I get the tripod out, and it's got a nice little black column which you're going to put the old AS correctors will push against. And I basically just roughly point at a Polaris, and then I start leveling them out from there. So there's no actual mount on, actually, I should say. There's just the tripod at this point. I'll level that off using a bubble level. Or those, like, I don't know what they're called now. just a long level with a bubble in the middle that you can do your trick with. Once it's leveled off, I put the mount on, tighten it up, make sure it's all nice and tightened up, and look through the poloscope. And I've set the clock on the RA axis. Is it RA axis? So I've got a helicopter really distracting. Oh, hey, helicopter. Right. So basically, I just pointed to Polaris, and I looked through the poloscope. As long as I can see Polaris, you're pretty close to start with. I mean, you're going to be off, but you're pretty close. Now, there's a whole process where you can set it up so that as you twist the scope in... right, someone correct me here. I always get these mixed up. Is it declination I'm twisting in? If I'm moving the bars up and down, am I twisting in declination?
Do you mean the one that you bent?
No, right, hang on. I'm going to get the camera. This is going to be easier if I do it with some visuals. Right, so bear with me, and I've got the headphones on so people can correct my camera work. Anyhow, so here we go. I'm wandering now. And I also got myself tugged on the table here. Yeah, my filmmaking skills are terrible. Right then, hopefully you guys can still hear me. So, this axis here, I twist around and there's a clock on here, and I set that to roughly the time of day that I'm pointing at Polaris at. And that gives you the setting circle. Yeah, so I use the setting circle here, and that allows this is the poloscope under here. So this thing here, this will then roughly match where Cassiopeia and the Big Dipper are, or if you're in the south, I think there's a constellation called Octanus or something like that. And that will orientate it so you know where, so it will give you a position of where Polaris should be, roughly, and then I basically twist these ones here to move it left and right in the view, and I center it in, there's a little circle which Polaris is meant to sit in, and you're placing it at that using these bolts here. Which I've now moved, so that'll be completely off. As you can see, I'm at a 53 degrees roughly. And then once that's done, that's basically it. I then put it back into the home position, and I then find some stars in the south and drift align the whole setup. To be honest with you, you don't really have to worry about the whole polar alignment thing as long as Polaris is there and roughly where it should be in that field of view. Drift aligning is honestly, I think, the best way of doing any kind of alignment. I mean,
do you want to explain to people what drift aligning is? Because you've just gone straight off on that.
Right then, okay, drift aligning. Drift aligning I'm very used to because it's the only way I ever used to be able to get my knee fort mount to do anything. Drift aligning, you point your telescope at a star in the southern horizon, so roughly towards the meridian. So the sky is basically divided up into two halves, and you've got your southern view. So you're facing south, and you've got the meridian, which is basically directly due south. You want to look a little bit, not too high off the horizon, because the lower you are towards the horizon, the more drift is noticeable. And once you've found a nice bright star, you've got an eyepiece in. You can do it using software as well, but I normally stick a little eyepiece in, which has a set of crosshairs. And what you watch for is if the star moves up or down against those crosshairs. And you watch it for a couple of minutes normally just to see how quickly it's moving. And then basically you adjust the attitude bolts, the alt-az bolts, or the declination bolts. In this case, you're just adjusting the alt-az bolts, and basically if the star moves up, is how I remember it. It depends on the telescope and setup, but basically if the star moves up in my situation, I move the star to the left. Now that seems a little counterintuitive, and then you keep adjusting, and I time it so it doesn't move north to south of that crosshair for about 7 minutes or so. This is without a Barlow. I use a little 12mm etched eyepiece. I mean, if you want to go more accurate, you can stick a Barlow in and keep watching that star for even longer periods of time. But generally speaking, I find if the star doesn't move up or down against that crosshair for about 7 minutes, then PhD guiding can take over the rest, and you should get pretty good tracking and guiding for the night, as long as in theory, you could do a drift align for long enough with enough patience that you wouldn't really need that much guiding. But you also then once you've done the southern star, you can either go east or west. It just flips the way you have to move it around, and look at a star low on the eastern or western horizon. Watch that star again. Again, you can use software, but I still use an eyepiece at this point. And again, and then you just, for looking east or west, you adjust the declination or the bendy bolts, as I like to call them now, on the mount, and you just basically move that star up or down until it stops drifting in the other axis as well. I think that was a really bad explanation, but that's off the top of my head. So yeah, don't criticize too much, folks, please. Did that make sense, folks?
That was pretty cool off the top of your head, Chris.
Yeah. Actually, I am going to start using PhD to watch one of the guide star, like a star using through the guide scope, and you can watch the star. And it does pretty much the same thing. It then just watches the general trend, and you'll see two lines, and if they're parallel, you've got good tracking, but you'll see one maybe drifting up, and it's the same process. You adjust the altars, or you adjust the declination bolts depending on which hemisphere you're looking at. So I think that covers it. And drift alignment allows for some nice, really, it allows you to do your astrophotography. And if you get good drift alignment is like polar alignment, but much more fine-tuned, much more precise. In fact, you tend to find that actually, if you swing back to the home position and have a look at Polaris, it won't have actually moved much within that circle in theory, as long as everything's set up and nice and tidy, but it has just really fine-tuned it so that, you know, you can take unguided exposures of multiple minutes, and with guiding, you can take exposures of 20, 30 minutes plus. Although I tend to find that British weather with clouds kind of upsets everything, and my bendy bolt is making life a little tricky with that. And I am still keeping an eye out for sunlight, and I've still got no live sun to show. So, how's that tarantula coming on, Trev?
I'm kicking myself, mate. I kicked the power out of me bloody mount.
Oh, no. Oh. Actually, that is one thing I will say about the NEQ6 mount. I don't know if it's any of the other NEQs, but the power cable is not the most rock-solid thing to be plugged into it.
That's the same with the HEQ5.
It's I wish it had kind of one of those kind of, almost like a headphone kind of socket, that kind of clicky kind of push it in and you know it's going to stay there kind of thing. I mean, as long as you're careful around your mount, which, you know, in the darkness with lots of cables running around.
Do you want to know the bad news, Chris? The AZ EQ6 GT's got a better power adapter.
I knew you were going to come up with something like that. I just blooming knew it. Oh, actually, I'm
sunshine.
Yeah, well, hang on. I'm going to screen share, and then I'm just going to pick up the PlayStation controller, which I'm controlling them out with, because, you know, EQ mode is epic. Right then, so look, see now. If I up the exposure, can I get anything out of this? No, it's going to thick clouds again. Sucker holes, they're evil. They really are truly, absolutely evil. So yes, that's the other thing as well, because I use EQ mod, which is plugged directly into the mount, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing, which I knew about thanks to Dylan giving me some help with this whole thing. I'm controlling the mount with this right now. Yep. In fact, the way I've got it set up at the moment is the analog stick controls the slewing side of things. I can push well, I'm a gamer, so for me it's R2, but you know, that button there, if I can see where my finger's tapping, that one there just emergency stops the whole thing, just in case, you know, I'm going to hit the mount or something's horribly, horribly wrong. And then I set the slew speeds using the old triangle, circle, X and square buttons, which I'm normally using to kick someone with Street Fighter at, but you know. So yeah, I've got it all kind of plugged in onto that, and it just it controls pretty well actually. Although it's, I think I'm going to muck around with it and get it so that north, because when I nudge the stick north, everything moves east and vice versa, and it gets really confusing because of the whole mirrored thing. So that's always funny. For learning to get into astrophotography and trying to find stuff, just remember lots of things get reversed and it can be horribly confusing at times. Just going to look at Q&A quickly as well. Bob says, sorry I'm late. Well, we'll let you off, Bob. That's fine. We'll let you off. And I'm also being asked what the best place to look at the night sky is at mainland Europe. General rule of thumb when it comes to light pollution, the further away you are from human beings and human civilization are the rule of thumb, so the countryside, the better. Seeing conditions, that varies by the topology of the land and how close you are to water and just day in general, so but if you just want like not much light pollution, then yeah, just go away from cities. A nearby village or two isn't too bad, or if you know your backyard is in a quiet little village without any street lights, you should be okay. Especially if you're looking at deep sky objects. That's why a lot of people favour the moon and planets, things like that, because they're nice and bright. And it doesn't matter really about the light pollution in that case. You can see Saturn through a telescope, or Jupiter, or the moon, obviously. Even if you're in the middle of London or Tokyo, I'd imagine that doesn't really affect it too much. But if you start looking at fainter objects, then yeah, the least light pollution, the better. So just get away from people, or get on a mountaintop. Although obviously, if you're going to carry a telescope on a mountaintop, I'd recommend some hefty insurance or a very light telescope. I'm just going to click on Paul here. Ooh, Paul, what's that?
It's not live. This is the Helix Nebula.
Ooh, I like it. How did you image this one then?
This is done with the 130mm refractor. Due to clouds, there's actually no blue in this image. It's only red and green channels.
But there is no green in space. I like it. That's lovely. I mean, actually, I kind of like it just because you have that data, and you've got this lovely kind of ghostly red ring of, well, I'm going to use the word doom. That's a lovely image, actually. Nice, despite the lack of blue, you've got some lovely detail in there. And obviously, would you consider you're pretty far from light pollution then to get these deep sky images?
Not really. I'm in the middle of town.
Ah.
So it's a small town compared to the rest of the world.
I was going to say, and how many people live in your small town? So I'm in a small town here, and there's about 116,000 people.
According to Google, about 46,000.
Well, luckily they don't appear to be too keen on street lamps then. It's actually an impressive shot. What's the exposure length on this then per channel?
It's about 30 minutes a channel.
See, if I did a 30-minute exposure from my location, I would just have a nice bright orange sky. So that's really nice.
Narrowband.
I thought I was going to say, Paul, was this narrowband or was this just RGB? Well, RG.
Yeah, this is just RG.
Urge. That's lovely. Narrowband, yes. To anyone watching, if you are in a light polluted environment and you are, willing to throw money at the problem, narrowband imaging is definitely the solution to most light pollution or moon-related problems. In fact, I would say that, thanks to me going narrowband, I've seen stuff that I never expected to see ever. So I'm a big fan of narrowband imaging.
Ultimate light pollution control.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's just cut pretty much everything out apart from this tiny, tiny slither of light. Which actually brings me to a point. So, hang on. Hydrogen alpha is in the red end of the spectrum. Hydrogen beta is in the bluish end of the spectrum. Just with you saying no green, I was just wondering if there's any narrowband filters. Oxygen 3, I think that's greenish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's where it's mapped to. It's where we map it to. We map it to the Hubble Space Telescope. Palette.
I can never remember which particular part of the wavelength it's in. We'll have to have a whole
absolutely no point. Yeah, there's no point in trying to allocate narrowband to colour because everybody's different.
Yeah, I was going to say I tend to find for speed, I tend to image just in bicolour. So I image in hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3 because there's not that much silicon sulfur 2 out there. I'm going to click on Trevor because I think Trevor has...
Yes,
what does Trevor have?
I have live tarantula. You see how it's green, guys?
The green is a lie. The green is a lie. To any Portal fans watching, that would have made complete sense. If not, sorry about the gaming reference. Nice. How are we getting this image, Trevor?
How are you getting this? You're going to laugh at me if I tell you. It's a modified security camera.
No way. Hey, see, you can DIY this stuff no matter what. Nice.
Well, it's actually sold by Astro Shop. It's actually a G-Star, but it's actually a modified security camera.
Nice. There you go,
So
folks. Actually, that brings me to a point. With regards to planetary as well, you can use just modified webcams. So, you know, you don't have to splash out to get going in this. Although I dare say a modified security camera. So what's the exposure length on this?
It's very sensitive. It's actually 0.0001 lux, so it's very, very sensitive camera to light. So it can actually produce. I can actually do a lot of things live. I can do galaxies live as well with this thing.
Impressive. Nice.
So I think anything up to about a magnitude of 15 I can get.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That was pretty impressive. This mag 15 for me is like, you know, especially the light pollution is as dim as anything.
You'd have to move to Lake District.
And I'm actually, yeah, and I'm 15 k's. I'm 15 k's to a major city, so I'm pretty close to Melbourne. So these things out in the rural towns or out in the countryside where it's absolutely dark, really work
Trevor,
well.
Yeah, Trevor, you're probably 15 k's the other side of the Great Dividing Range. That's what you're not telling us.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice.
Oh, that's lovely. I mean, live deep space. That's pretty cool. I like that. I'm a fan of the live, and you know, poor Kevin has been dropping in and out. Although he did manage to bring us some moon, and we've had, you know, live sun briefly, live moon, live tarantula, and Paul's beautiful photos, and of course John just providing the knowledge.
Not about that.
Well, we have actually clocked up just over an hour, so unless Trevor's going to suddenly find us a nice deep sky galaxy to quickly have a look at, I think...
No, I'm not. I'm not after kicking me scope out, mate. I'm not.
Well, there's another...
I have to find this one by looking at it.
Well, that worked. That's pretty good. So yeah, that's a lesson from the head under the rug. If you're going to set up to do astrophotography, don't kick them out. It's not a good idea. Everything goes wonky, and all your precious alignment goes wrong.
That's it. But then again, you know, this is sitting behind a f5 12-inch scope, so it's, I think the focal length on it's 1500.
Yeah, that's still a decent focal length. I mean, that's still, you know, that's still quite a bit of magnification you've got going on there. At f5 as well. That's, yeah. I think I reduced mine down, and I'm still at f6.3. So that's a pretty fast scope you've got there. What scope is it?
What scope is it? It's an El Cheapo. It's a GSO. It's not the Skywatcher 16 that I normally use. It's the because I can't put the 16 on the GoTo, of course, but that's why the 12 sits on the EQ6.
That's lovely. Well, live tarantula. I'm liking it, and I'm definitely seeing green.
You need to screenshot that, Chris.
I'm going to say, I'm going to click on pause here, and you know, oh, it's definitely green. I'm a terrible man. There is no green in space, folks. There isn't. Well, I don't know. Uranus kind of looks greeny. Right, on that bombshell, and because I've been completely clouded out for almost the duration of the show, I was even getting so warm earlier, I rolled the sleeves up to get the old pasty British arms, a bit of sunlight, but yeah, clouds. I swear down, it's every time I do this show. So, First of all, thank you to everyone who's watched and joined in the Q&A. I apologise about the lag issues I think we've been suffering as well, because I'm in my garden and I'm hosting the show using Wi-Fi and my laptop's sweating because it's doing imaging and all sorts. So next time I think I shall return indoors, or at least get that LAN cable out and plug it into the laptop if I'm out here. Because I'm really hoping for some nice live dark night sky views that I can share out galaxies and things like that. So fingers crossed. So thank you for everyone for joining us. Dylan has had to disappear because of things and life and work and probably a child too as well. So bless him. So thank you for Dylan for joining us this evening / this morning. And also, first of all, thank you to Trevor, who gave us some live moon and some live tarantula. Luckily, not the actual creepy coolie variety.
Yep, it's a pleasure.
Hey, you got clear skies for once, so woohoo!
That's it.
Yeah, keep doing whatever you're doing. That was awesome. Cheers, dude. And I'm looking forward to seeing what pictures you get out of your moonshots tonight.
Yes, it should be nice.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Thank you to Paul, who got attacked by clouds. He did bring us before the show started, as per usual, some nice views of the moon. But cheers for those awesome views of the sun and the Helix Nebula.
Hopefully one day the clouds will leave us alone for a while.
Yeah, I think that would have to be a very special show where all of us have got nice clear skies and we're all looking at live views.
Wow.
Can you imagine that
cool,
day?
Joe.
Yeah, can you imagine that day? There's probably a giant asteroid just about to hit the Earth at the very same moment. It would definitely be an end of the world kind of cataclysm. And also thank you to John, who still has been attacked by clouds and weather and all sorts. He's still not been able to bring us live.
Well, last weekend I couldn't dial in. Unfortunately, I was in the darkest skies on the planet, on one of the top 10 dark places in the it was up at Ayers Rock.
Nice.
I was not. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I suggest anybody should visit it from a dark sky perspective.
I have been to Uluru / Ayers Rock, and I think it's called Katajuna, and those skies were absolutely beautiful. So anyone watching, and if you happen to just have a bit of spare money, or you're already in Australia, just go to Ayers Rock. It's a beautiful landscape. It was oddly green, because last time I was there it rained. It was very green, which I was not expecting, and beautiful night skies. So yeah. Well, next time around, mate, rent a satellite and give us some live views from Ayers Rock. Just no pressure, Just rent a satellite,
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, your wish is my command.
Well, I'm just saying that you've got to bring them live at some point, man. Right then. Well, because everyone else has disappeared due to connection problems, I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Kevin, who did try to bring us the live and did bring us a bit of moon, even though he was having some connection problems. And my thanks again to Dylan for starting off the hosting of the show and just generally speaking being there and doing this bit of the show with all the Flickr pictures and everything. So thank you, Dylan. Next week, and I've already scheduled it because I'm actually planning in advance. I've already put out the event for next week's Western nighttime show, where hopefully we've got some American or British, maybe. Hey, you never know, I might get a chance. Astronomers bringing some nice nighttime views, and also possibly some daytime views. No pressure, Paul, but maybe a bit of live daytime planets or something. Otherwise, the sun is always acceptable. I did try today and failed. So please join us for that one. You can follow us on Twitter at Global Star Party. We tweet out links to some of the awesome Flickr pictures that we get put into the group. You can find that Flickr group by also searching for Global Star Party there. Some absolutely fantastic pictures get put on there, so please check them out. And please, if you've taken any awesome or even some beginning photos, whatever you've got of the night sky, then please put them on the group. I'm always happy to have a look at them, and we'll shout them out on the show as well. Especially good when we've got cloudy weather or internet problems, because technology and nature, I think it's. So thank you.
I'd just like to say, Chris, thank you very much for hosting the show, and thank you very much for living life on the edge with Wi-Fi from your into your back garden, and trying to show us the sun, which you did succeed with. So but yeah, that's pretty cool.
briefly, the sun is always, if you're looking at it safely, folks, is always a beautiful thing to look at. So, you know, I have to say, thanks to Paul, I fell in love with the sun. I'm just going to, Trevor's bringing a globular cluster right at the end of the show. You see, look at that. Well, we should end on a live view. I'm assuming live view of.
It's live. It's live. It's live.
So what are we ending on here, Trevor?
47 Tuckanee.
Beautiful. Well, I shall leave everyone who's watching with that shot. Thank you all for joining in. I hope to see you all next week, both the Peanut Gallery and our audience. And yeah, thank you for joining us. And I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee and curse the clouds now. Thank you and bye-bye.
See you later.